What's up guys, it's Jwill, and today I'm going to be doing a plugin tier list including effect plugins. So I'm going to just hop right in and explain my reasoning for everything. So Analog Lab. I haven't used Analog Lab too much because it's a recent cop, but I guess I just put it in, haven't used it enough to rate it, but it's good because I was surprised by the pianos and there's just a lot of sounds in Analog Lab. So I'm sure I'll be a big fan of it once I use it more. And as for the price, I think it's like 100. It's but it's a decent price. Definitely a lot of sounds, and some people really ride for Analog Lab. So moving on to Diva, I think I put it in B tier. It has a lot of happy and ambient sounds, but it's a little limited for me. I mean, I used to use it a lot back in the day, and it's definitely a sound I like, but I've been using Repro 1 and Repro 5 a lot more recently, so I was just thinking like it's kind of just something kind of in my past. And I was looking at the price, and if it's not on sale, it's actually pretty damn expensive. So if you have the money, or like basically it's a plugin that you would buy after you buy other plugins, at least for me, because I like Repro 1 and 5 a lot more. Moving on to Effectrix, I put it in B. I put it in B2, maybe A, like kind of B tier going to A tier, because I like it, but it's not groundbreaking. I do like it more than Shaperbox though, and I'm gonna get to Shaperbox just because I like the presets more, and it's very fast and easy to use. It is pretty expensive, so I'm talking about Effectrix 2 here. I don't know if I said that, but Effectrix 2 is not too much different than Effectrix 1. So if you have Effectrix 1, then I just stick with it instead of upgrading to Effectrix 2. But it's definitely a really good plugin, and both versions are very valid, and I just really like the presets and just manipulating them to get a sound I like. You could put it on anything. You could put it on melodies, but you could also put it on drums and it'll work, and you know, like hi-hats, and it'll work. All right, FL keys. I'm kind of just trolling, bro. Put it in C tier. It's just like it's an OG. It's an OG. Okay, Fresh Air. So Fresh Air, it's free. It's free, so I gotta put it in B, honestly. What Fresh Air does is it basically raises the volume of the mid and the high frequencies in like a different type of way, where it doesn't really make them too harsh. So it's a pretty cool plugin. It works really well, and as I said, it's free, so I think it's definitely worth it to just try it. And I've used it on a lot of my, like while I'm mixing, I've used it in my mixes a lot, just a little bit, and it brings out those frequencies you want. All right, Halftime. So Halftime, no, I'm throwing a lot of things in B tier, but it's a really good effect. Like the Halftime effect is a really good effect. It's only $12, but it does come in Shaperbox, but Shaperbox is a lot more expensive. I'm just gonna check it real quick actually. Yeah, so Shaperbox 3 is about 90, and it has the Halftime effect, but obviously it has a million other effects. But if you're on a budget, or you just don't feel like buying Shaperbox because you want to buy something else like Effectrix, or just don't want to buy it and you want to spend less money, then I think Halftime's a really good effect plugin, and it does exactly what you need to do. But it is kind of 2016, 2018. It's just been used a lot basically. So Labs is a really good free plugin. I think it's like the best free plugin, honestly, of the ones I've used. And I've seen a lot of free plugins, but I've just not downloaded them because they really don't look like they do enough. But Labs really has a bunch of different sounds and has good pianos, and you really can't go wrong for a free plugin. And it's also, actually, it low-key does take up a good amount of space when you download all the different things, but I mean, it's free. You kind of just gotta use it and see what you like. But I think there's a little something for everybody. All right, so Lounge Lizard. I'll just put that in haven't used enough to rate but good, because I did recently buy it, and I just don't think I can give a good take on that. But it really has all the electric pianos, and I just looked through it. Yeah, it just has like everything you need. If you love electric pianos, you should buy this. And I know Rio Leva and some other bigger producers have been talking about this a good amount and giving it good ratings. It's very a specific plugin, a very specific sound, but if you love that type of sound, then you're gonna love it. So movement, I give movement a C. It doesn't do too much, honestly. It has a lot of gates. It has a lot of those like EDM build up. It'll give you like those EDM build up type of sounds when it's building up into the drop. I think it's more tailored for EDM producers, and not too much for rap producers. But I'm sure if you're creative, I'm gonna get creative with it and see if I can throw it in somewhere. But it doesn't really do what I'm looking for, but it's cool. All right, so Omnisphere, the big daddy, and I'm gonna put in an A, and I'm gonna tell you why. So we all know that Omnisphere is expensive, and we all know that it has a lot of sounds, but for me, it also has a lot of weird sounds. And to use those weird sounds effectively, you have to have a certain level of expertise. And since there are so many weird sounds, it kind of puts it down from S to A. But there are also a lot of good sounds in Omnisphere too, don't get it twisted. And that's also why it's an A. But just the pure charge, just like, it's so expensive, and it's such a big thing to get. It also takes up a lot of space on your computer, so it's a big thing in that way too. But yeah, it takes some expertise to use those weird sounds, and also it takes some expertise when you're using Omnisphere just over and over and over again for, just make a whole track out of just Omnispheres. It takes some expertise to make a whole beat just using it and knowing how to layer all the different sounds and use all the different sounds. But it's definitely a really good plugin. Two other things I wanted to say about it too is that Omnisphere opened my mind up to a lot of spacey sounds. So I do give it credit for that, and that a lot of people think that since Omnisphere has been around for so long, it's kind of obsolete, but nah. I still think it has a lot of sounds, and there's a lot of ways you can use it, especially with the sound design and just all the different capabilities, that I don't think it'll get old for a long time. One last thing too is if you click on a sound, you go to main, and then you go to A, and then you go to sample. There's actually kind of like a hidden sample library of simple sounds, because a lot of Omnisphere sounds are layered, and the samples are just one sound instead of being like you click on strings. A lot of the times the Omnisphere strings will be layered with a pad, but the sample sounds will just be simple sounds that might be a little easier to use, especially for like a beginner producer. Alright, so Portal is a recent cop, but I really like Portal, and it's a little different from, well, it's definitely different from Shaperbox. It's a little closer to Effectrix, but Portal kind of just has some unique sounds that no other effect plugin has. I mean, at least to me, I don't know if there really is anything just like Portal, and I just like, it's just very unique, and it adds some unique flavor to any melody. Like, you can have a really simple melody and put Portal on it, and it'll completely like just jazz it up, and it's just great. It's simple. It's very simple, and it's just a great plugin. Not too expensive either, especially if you get it in a bundle, because I got Thermal, Movement, and Portal in a bundle for like $190, and I think that was a really good price, so I just copped all three of them. Alright, so for Purity, I used to make a lot of plugin B, so it was a good plugin to me, but these days I don't really use it. I don't find myself using it that much, because all the sounds are very happy and just kind of in that plugin B space. So, I mean, maybe I should check it out, because sometimes you can just have whatever type of beat, and then you go into Purity, you just find something that's like, it just fits. I mean, that kind of goes for any plugin, but a lot of the sounds are just happy and very pluggish. So, and there's not a lot of sounds, so it's kind of limited too. And a lot of people have used the sounds. Like, that's something you can't say about Omnisphere, and that's not really something you could really say about Serum, because Serum has so many banks and stuff, but with Purity it's very limited, so you'll hear a lot of the same sounds in different beats if you really pay attention. But yeah, it's only $50 and I think it's definitely worth it. And people used to use it a lot, but these days people aren't using it that much, so then it kind of becomes back in style because you won't hear a lot of the sounds in newer beats, so it kind of just goes like that. Alright, so I haven't used RC20 really at all yet. I copped it like a couple weeks ago on sale, but I know it's really good. People say it's really good, and I trust them, and from the just what I've seen of it, it seems to have good vinyl effects and not a bad price either. Not a bad price on sale, I should say. Actually, when it's usual, like when it's at its usual price, but I mean, as I said, I haven't used it that much, so I can't really say too much. Alright, so Repro 1 and Repro 5. So I'm gonna put them in A. It's a little bit high, but if you can get both of these on sale and just go through them and use them, and you really like spacey music and making spacey music, then these will really be like your best friend. They have a lot of those 80s synths, and I just love making that type of music, so it's a little bit biased, but I'm gonna put them in A. And I just really like them. I've really moved from Diva to Repro, and they both have that ambient sound, but Diva's a little too happy for me these days, so I've been trying to like chill it down, make some more beats with more neutral sounding sounds. And Repro has just been, both Repros have just been doing really well for me. So, and they also don't just have ambient sounds, there's like a pretty good variety in both of them. Alright, so Serum, I think I just gotta put Serum in A because Serum's just great. It's great for the price. It's great. There's great banks. The OG sounds are kind of iffy because they're so mechanical. They're so electronic. I mean, because a lot of people use it for EDM too, so I kind of get where they're marketing to. But Serum's just so good for those Yeet and Ken Carson beats and all those underground beats, which is like where music is heading right now. Like Lone and Ken Carson and Cardi's still been going crazy, so it's like that's a big part of music right now. And underground beats, those type of beats are really going crazy right now. Also with like Benny X, I know Benny X's sound is more soft and less hard, like compared to most Serum sounds, but Serum really has that like the underground unlock, and the more banks you get, also the more you'll like Serum. Alright, so Shaper Box. For me, Shaper Box is just a worse Effectrix, and you guys might think that's kind of crazy, and maybe it is a little bit of a crazy take, but it's my tier list, and Shaper Box just takes longer to use for me because Effectrix has better presets and it has kind of more effects, and it's just easier to use. And Shaper Box, if you really want to get the full functionality, since the presets aren't that good, you have to kind of go in and make your own. And if you like doing that, then you like doing that, but I don't like doing that. I like to make beats fast, and it's not just about making beats fast, but it's also just about the sounds, as I said. All right, so Thermal for me sits with Portal, but it's a little bit more limited than Portal, I think, because it's more it has a different functionality because it's more distortion and it's more saturation instead of whatever you call Portal. Honestly, I don't even know what you call Portal. But Thermal does what it does, and it does it well, so I can't really put it any lower. And it does have some really cool effects, but they're going to be hard. It's going to be kind of hard to really use it that much, I feel like, because some of the presets are so crazy. So you might have to do a good amount of tweaking on your own. But as for distortion and saturation, it does that really well. You just need to you might just need to chill down some of the presets, because most of the presets go really crazy with the distortion and saturation. Alright, so Triton's a recent cop, but I've been using it a ton. I just like it for those non-synth sounds, like wood and reed sounds, guitar sounds, strings, brass, all those non-synth sounds. I think it does really well with. but it does take up a ton of CPU, and it definitely is expensive, but I bought all these plugins on sale, and I guess if you're willing to not buy it on sale, you are kind of paying a lot of money for what it brings to the table. And it uses a lot of CPU too, so if you have a not as good computer, I mean, I have a MacBook Pro. It's not the highest end of the high ends, but my Mac really struggles when I'm putting more than like one Triton. I mean, it works okay. Like the sound doesn't lag, but the screen itself lags a lot, so it just uses a lot of CPU. But basically, if you're into those nonsense sounds, you have a pretty good computer, and you're willing to pay some money, unless you can get on sale, then it's a definite cop. Then Triton's gonna be your friend. All right, so Tyrell, I'm gonna put it in B because it's very limited, but it is a free plugin. And if you like making those weird Pierre beats, like some of those beats off of T-Lop 4, I think Tyrell would be your friend. I found some cool sounds in there, but as I said, it is very limited, and comparing it to Labs, it's just much worse. But it's not really what you're getting it for. You're getting it for those weird sounds, and you're getting it for those Pierre sounds. You're getting it for those unique sounds. So for that, I do think it does deserve a B, and it's free. All right, so Valhalla Vintage Verb. I'm gonna put it in S because it's just the best reverb. And I haven't tried the delay yet, but I'm low-key thinking that that's gonna be the best delay too, because it has 3 different types of reverb and 1 reverb, first of all. But the reverb's just so rich and so wide, and you can just throw it on anything and it'll sound so much wider and honestly better. It just makes a lot of sounds just better, like just like that. And you do gotta be careful with it though, because a lot of the reverbs on it kind of delay the attack, so it almost makes some sounds offbeat. But you just gotta play with the attack a little bit and it'll fix it. But all 3 of the reverbs are just so good, and you really just gotta hear it and play around with it, and I'm sure you'll agree. All right, so Grandeur, and this is from Contact. I'll put it in C, mainly because of the price. You can make some really small tweaks on this one piano that like no other piano plugin really has, but it's like $100, and it's only one piano for Contact. So it's really like, if you have the money, then buy it, and it's a really good piano, and you can get a lot of usability out of it. But at the same time, it's one piano, and as much functionality and as much times, you can only tweak one single piano so many times to make it sound so many different ways. So alright, so Expand. This would be a B tier plugin, but I'm gonna put it in A because it's been on sale for like $10 for so long, and it has so many sounds and a lot of good sounds, so I just can't put it in B because it's so cheap. And Expand is just a good all-around plugin for modern beats, for underground beats, for really any beats, but it's more synth-centric, like Omnisphere than non-synth like Triton. It's really like, I wouldn't say the exact opposite of Triton, but it's really on opposing sides for the sounds you can select. Has a lot of good pads, has a lot of good synths, has a lot of good ARPs. So yeah, A tier. Alright guys, so I'm gonna wrap this up. I think I did a pretty good job with this. I really do think that Valhalla Vintage Verb is the only true S tier because it's the best at what it does. It's cheap, it doesn't take up a lot of space. I mean, I wouldn't say it's cheap, but it's a reasonable price. It doesn't take up a lot of space and has so much functionality. And all the A tier plugins either are a little too expensive, or take up a little too much space, or are a little limited, or use a little bit too much CPU, like Triton. So yeah, that's about it. But if you have the money and the space, then I'd say just buy all of them. I mean, that's kind of what I do. But yeah, that's about it. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys can make good decisions in the future on which plugins you're going to buy. And I hope you guys buy some of these A tier plugins and the S tier plugin, because I think they're very much worth it. and you guys should very much consider it. So I hope you took a lot of good knowledge away from this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.